What's going on YouTube? So the Kia lineup is chock full of SUV options, and one of the most stylish and affordable ones is this Kia Seltos.
Already known for being extremely value-packed, Kia has lowered the base price and done more for 2026.
So, is this still a great option? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Let's go ahead and get things started here with our quick spec dump. So under the hood of the Seltos, you continue to find two different powertrains. Since we have the loaded model, we have the upgraded 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, making 195 horsepower. That's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and with all-wheel drive, combined fuel economy is 25 mpg.
Now, the base price of the Seltos is $23,500 for 2026, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, later on, we're going to take it out for a spin to show you the performance of this engine, as well as get things like our sound level reading, and at the end, discuss resale and reliability.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood, because we need to take a look at the exterior design as well as the inside. Now, as far as the exterior design is concerned, I've always thought that the Seltos was quite handsome, and I think a lot of people find this a lot more appealing than Kia's other affordable crossover, the Soul. And that's because it's got a very conventional SUV look despite being small. You've got that same design up here in the grille as you do on the Sportage and other Kia crossover models. This is slightly revised depending on which trim level you choose, and your upper trims will also get the light bar that kind of extends into the grille, giving it a distinct design at night. Now, let's talk about lighting though. This is a very interesting part about this Seltos model, because actually if you choose anything except the fully loaded model, you will not have LED headlights. So you'll have the halogen headlights. That's kind of old school for 2025, but if you get this top model, you get the bi-LED projectors, which look quite nice. You also get the more premium daytime running light and turn signal indicator, and you get an upgrade to the fog lights as well. So this is the stacked design down here in this more premium gloss black housing. And then as we move around to the back, it's got really a kind of just miniaturized design from other Kia SUVs.
Yeah, it looks quite handsome. Now, as far as individual design touches, we have a spoiler, a wiper right there, and let's check out our tail lights. Now, as far as these are concerned, we do have LED tail lights. So as you can see, we have an LED brake light, an incandescent turn signal, and then your reverse light is incandescent in this lower housing. I do want to point out the LED brake light does come on the S trims and above. Now, as we drop down to the lower fascia, a lot of gloss black and no exposed exhaust outlets.
And moving on to the wheels, you have some different options. It starts at 17-inch alloys and moves up to 18-inch alloys. Of course, this top model has a unique 18-inch alloy with a cool contrast design. One 2026 update I want to mention is that the EX trim with the sunroof package now gets a new wheel design just to kind of freshen up the overall appearance. And the LX trim level, what actually makes that have a lower base price is the fact that it has an available front-wheel drive model for the first time. Now, as we move up here to the mirrors, we'll have blind spot monitoring and heating if you choose the S trim or above.
Now, at the side of the Seltos, the vehicle length is 172 inches, and I do want to point out, as far as design is concerned, there are certain versions of the Seltos where you can get a two-tone roof to really spice up the design. This particular model has kind of the chrome and black raised roof rails as well. And then when it comes to your safety systems, we do get 3 out of 4 of those as standard equipment on every single Seltos model. If you want adaptive cruise control with highway drive assist, though, you will have to choose this fully loaded SX trim level. But guys, there are a few updates on the inside that we need to talk about. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. Now let's move on to the inside. Here's Kia's typical key fob. We have a smart entry system with remote start if you choose anything but the base model. And to get inside, you're just going to press the little black button there, and that will unlock the door. Now, as far as the interior is concerned, this product isn't quite as new as the latest and greatest vehicles in their lineup. That being said, it still has really pretty much the same overall layout since the refreshed design. And before we get into some individual details as well as some changes for 2026, let's talk about the seats. So standard on this model is a cloth seat. However, EX and SX trims come with this leatherette seat. As you can see, pretty nice look to this. This feels pretty realistic to real leather. You have perforation and different stitching designs, and you have a few different color choices on these models. Also, the models with the leatherette also have the power adjustment. Otherwise, you'll have manual adjustment. And let's go ahead and climb inside. Now, as one of Kia's most affordable crossovers, let's check the rest of the cabin materials in here. So across the armrest portion, you have a leatherette with a stitching detail. That's going to continue to the center, but the top part will be a hard touch plastic and use some piano black accenting. The upper part of the dashboard is a hard touch plastic. However, on our EX and SX trims, they get the leatherette accent through here with the stitching detail. And then down here on our lower panels, we have some more piano black. Now let's fire it up with the push button start. And let's jump right into the individual features, beginning with the gauge cluster. So even though this is a more affordable model, on our upper trim levels, we get the full digital gauge cluster, which is 10.25 inches. That's going to be a dual setup with the main infotainment system, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then as we pull back to the steering wheel, we've got a really nice steering wheel. Since this is the SX model, it's got the flat bottom design, the leatherette wrapping with perforation. Definitely feels quite nice in the hand. It's manual tilt and telescoping, and heating is not offered on this model though. Now let's take a look at interior storage next. First up, our center console. Inside, you notice we got some donuts. That's because at Car Confections, we do the donut test so that we can compare to the competition. Inside this center console today, we have 10 donuts, which is really pretty good for a subcompact crossover. Definitely getting close to that dozen donuts, which we require to pass the test. Now you've got your 2 cup holders there. As we move forward, a nice large storage cubby and then an additional shelf, which this is where your wireless phone charging pad is for both the EX and the SX trim levels. As far as the shifter is concerned, you have the identical shifter from the Telluride. Just pull back for drive, bump over here to the left if you want to shift manually. And then when we head into reverse, here's our standard backup camera. This will be on all models with active trajectory. Parking sensors, though, for the back, that's included with EX and SX trim levels. One thing that's exclusive to just the SX, though, is the electronic parking brake with the brake hold function. Now let's kind of move on up. Next place we come to are climate controls. So we have a single zone automatic setup on most of the models. You can make your adjustments very easily right through there. Down below, next to the shifters, where you find the controls for your heated seats. That's on some of your upper trim levels. And then this model offers something quite rare. The SX version gives you the availability of vented seats. That's really, really uncommon for a subcompact crossover. Now the other buttons in this region are related to the audio systems. You have a 6-speaker as standard and an 8-speaker Bose sound system on just this top trim. Let's hear it. Yeah, overall sound quality is quite nice. Certainly fills up this cabin very well. Okay, so let's move next to our display here. Kia has simplified this quite a bit. You have the 10.25 inch screen you're looking at right now on everything except for the base LX. If you get the LX, it is going to be reduced down to just 8 inches. But as you can see, most models will get this. Included inside of this is a built-in navigation system. This is not the latest Kia software, so the thing I want to point out is that this does not have wireless Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, so you will still have to connect via a USB. Up top, we have an auto-dimming mirror that's exclusive to just the SX trim. And then we don't have a sunroof on today's model. Packaged with the ventilated seats, you can get a sunroof on the SX trim level, and you can also add a sunroof to the EX.
And let's talk about the rear seat of the Seltos. Of course, this is a small SUV, but you still will need to use this back seat. And I'm happy to tell you when it comes to space, it's pretty good numbers back here. So we're sitting at about 38 inches of both legroom and headroom. Those are good numbers for this segment. Certainly, there are a lot smaller options, such as the Mazda CX-30. I'm 5'9" for reference, and of course, we brought along the official Car Confections ruler. The reason we do that is because this seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8". Like I said, I'm just 5'9", and let's see how much knee room we have, about 7 inches. That is quite good for a vehicle in this segment. My feet can also slide up underneath of the seat, and speaking of the seats, they do have the ability to recline just a little bit, as you can see right there, to maximize your comfort. If we fold down the center armrest, we do have 2 cup holders inside. And then as far as features, really a lot in this segment don't give you any features, but I'm happy to tell you S trims and above will give you the rear vents, as well as these USB-C ports. You have this additional storage cubby as well. Then over on the door trim, it's going to be hard touch on the vast majority of it. You do have some piano black and leatherette on the armrest portion, so that's pretty nice. And then there's also a little bit of door storage. Now walking up to the tailgate, surprisingly, a couple trim levels of the Seltos do give you a hands-free power tailgate. That's very rare for this segment. And as far as the features are concerned, back here and space, we'll talk about space first. We're sitting at about 26 cubic feet behind the second row of seats. If we fold those seats down, about 62 cubic feet of cargo space. Now, how does that compare to rivals? Well, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings to see how it compares, because we've gone through all these subcompact SUVs in this segment. There are tons of options, and we've gone through and ranked them in individual categories that might matter more or less to you. Things like cargo capacity, interior technology, luxury features, safety, and reliability and resale value. So if you want to make an informed buying decision, use our tools at carconfections.com/vehicle rankings to do that. Now, as far as the overall cargo area, it is pretty big for the segment. You can also fold the seats 60-40 split. You have these little handles. I can't really get to it with the cargo cover installed, but for most people, it wouldn't be too hard to do it from back in the cargo area. Now that we've got those seats folded down, they do fold mostly flat with the floor. Let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures in case you're looking to haul something specific. About 67 inches of cargo length behind Drew's 5'8" driving position. From behind the second row of seats, 34 inches of length is what you can expect. As far as the cargo opening, about 41 inches. And then height, I will have to estimate because we have the cargo cover installed. That's going to be pretty good though, 29 inches as far as our height. And let's get our cargo load-in height as well. As a small SUV, that's pretty good, 29 inches as the load-in. Underneath of the floor, there's maybe perhaps a little bit of storage space, but mainly it's just going to be your spare tire. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2026 Kia Seltos. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot. As you can see on the screen right now, we'll also get things like our sound level reading. We need to start with that hard acceleration first though.
All right, that's 60 miles an hour. Now, like we were discussing at the spec dump, there's 2 different ways you can get the Seltos for the powertrains. This is the SX exclusive turbocharged powertrain. It's a 1.6 liter turbo 4-cylinder, 195 horsepower, 195 pound-feet of torque. So in terms of, power figures for the subcompact crossover segment, that's pretty good. That's certainly a notable upgrade over the standard model. And combined with the difference in transmission, which we'll talk about in a little bit, this is certainly the one that's going to be the quicker and more enjoyable to drive.
Yeah, that's definitely a good power figure for this segment of vehicle. A lot of its competition, namely things like the Honda HR-V, way slower, and they're not offering a high output version like this. Now, as far as the standard option, Most of you will probably get that just because this is an SX exclusive powertrain. That's a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, no turbocharged or anything like that. 146 horsepower, 132 pound-feet of torque. We've experienced that in numerous other Seltos products, so if you want to go check that out, we do have several reviews on the channel of previous model year Seltos models with that powertrain. It's going to be okay. It's certainly not super fast by any stretch of the imagination, so if you're a little power hungry, certainly recommend getting this.
Yeah, but that's what's really typical for the segment.
Yeah.
This segment you should expect your vehicles to be a little bit slower than that compact segment for sure. It's a little bit more of a normal acceleration there, and let's jump into the transmission that I was kind of talking about earlier. So the big distinguishing difference between the two powertrains is that the standard one comes with a CVT, a continuously variable transmission. This version comes with an 8-speed automatic, so that gives you the traditional stepped feel to your transmission shifts. Will help avoid any types of drone or anything like that people typically don't like as much from a continuously variable.
Now, as far as how power is routed to the ground, we did mention this on the outside, but new for 2026 is the LX front-wheel drive trim level. That's, of course, going to lower your base price down quite a bit. You do, of course, still have the option of getting all-wheel drive, and as far as your fuel economy is concerned, it's coming in at 31 for the front-wheel drive base engine, 29 with all-wheel drive, and then if you choose this turbo model, that will be all-wheel drive exclusive, and that comes in at 25 miles per gallon combined.
Now we're on a bit of a country road, so I can talk a little bit about dynamics. Obviously, it's not a sporty SUV, even in its top spec. However, it's not sloppy at all. It has pretty good steering response as well when you go off center. And I think one of the things that we've always observed about the Seltos is it kind of drives bigger than it is. It feels really more like a compact SUV than the subcompact segment.
And like Drew just said, this vehicle does feel bigger behind the wheel than it really is. And I think that really is a compliment, especially when it comes to things like ride quality. This vehicle rides absolutely fantastically for this segment. Really compared to the vast majority of options, this is more comfortable, which is really quite nice. I think that's what most buyers are wanting in this segment. The seats are comfortable. The suspension does a great job if you hit a bump in the road of soaking it up. And it doesn't feel cheap. That's for sure. Now, let's go ahead and get our sound level reading going 55 miles per hour. I'll go ahead and turn the fan speed down to 1. Very good. 55.3 decibels is what we are sitting at as our sound level reading in the 2026 Kia Seltos. We don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to all of the numerous subcompact SUVs. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. And as far as how that rates compared to its competition, well, guess what? It's about the quietest option you can get. The Kia Soul is actually the reigning champion in the segment. And then Kia Seltos is coming in at number 2. So this is a very quiet cabin for this segment, that's for sure. A lot of them tend to be kind of on the loud side in this segment. So I definitely appreciate a quiet cabin in this one. Now let's get into our airball and slam dunk, our least favorite and favorite element. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the slam dunk?
That's going to be the value. You probably saw that coming. That's something we've always praised with this model, and really just continues for 2026. All the trims really across the entire lineup give you a good amount of stuff for a good price point.
Now on the flip side, the airball is just going to be a couple things that are starting to show their age a little bit, namely when it comes to things like the safety systems, not all of those being standard on all trim levels. Additionally, the LED headlights only being offered on this fully loaded example is very peculiar to us, and the wired CarPlay, wired Android Auto as compared to the wireless. Things like that certainly will be something that some of the buyers may not appreciate, and you can get in the competition. Now, what about pricing for 2026? Well, prices across the lineup are going to rise about $300, which certainly isn't too much for the 2026 version versus the 2025. Perhaps the bigger news, though, is of course that new trim level Drew was talking about, the LX with front-wheel drive. That does mean your base price on the Seltos has reduced about $1,000 this year. So if you really want that lowest end model, that's really good news for you this year. Now, as far as this one, we have the highest end version, the 2026 Seltos SX Turbo. We also have the optional paint color floor mats, $13.95 destination. All told, we're sitting at $33,370 as tested today. Now, if you're looking to buy a Kia Seltos or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. We even have a monthly payment calculator, so if you'd like to check all of that out, you can find a link to that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment down below. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's discuss resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, we took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Kia Seltos potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 49% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 21.1%. Now, it's worth noting, those are right at the industry average for all vehicle makes when it comes to resale value percentages. It will be less than some of your Japanese rivals, though, such as Toyota, Honda, Mazda, and Subaru.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several trustworthy sources on reliability and combines them in a way that gives you the most holistic picture. In this regard, Kia is rated just a bit above the overall industry average for all vehicle brands.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Now, when it comes to your warranty, you do have a very good one, 5-year, 60,000 mile basic warranty, a 10-year, 100,000 mile powertrain warranty. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the 2026 Kia Seltos. If you enjoyed watching this video and found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.